Coronation Street has kicked off a feud between two families in the aftermath of Megan Walsh's grooming scandal. The coach has been charged with grooming Will Driscoll but has been released on bail, as the cobbles are reeling from the consequences of her actions. In tonight's May 21st episode, trouble continued for Ben Driscoll and Eva Price as the school informed them that her daughter Susie had got into a fight with Gemma and Chesney's son Bryn. Eva rushed to school to pick up Susie, who had hit Bryn with a fizzy drink after he'd been spreading rumors about Will and Megan. "What can I say, I'm a good shot," Susie commented when quizzed by Ben and Eva. When Ben asked the reasons she would do such a thing, Susie revealed that Bryn had been telling their friends that Will and Megan were doing stuff together. "Is it true?" Susie asked, but the conversation was interrupted by Gemma and Chesney wanting to clear the air with Eva and Ben. "She's a kid." "A gobby sassy one, I know, but she's a kid," Eva protested when Gemma suggested they could report her for assault. Ben tried to pacify the other couple, also pointing out that Bryn had been making fun of Will's ordeal. When Susie left, the four parents had an open chat about Megan's wrongdoings, with Eva suggesting that Gemma and Chesney had been participating in the rumor mill. Maggie found Susie in the gardens, feeling sorry for herself, and escorted her back to the pub. The girl said she was tired of everyone always rowing, as Maggie shared her worries with her son. "Just keep an eye on her. I think she's really worried about her brother," Maggie said, to which Ben replied, "We all are." Upstairs, Will thanked his little sister for having his back. "No one deces my family and gets away with that," she replied smugly. "Seriously though, you and Megan?" she added to Will with a fake vomiting gesture. The cobbles of Coronation Street had seen their fair share of secrets, betrayals, and explosive revelations, but nothing quite like the shockwave that followed the Megan scandal. What began as a whisper in the corner of the Rovers' return quickly snowballed into a full-blown crisis that tore through two of Weatherfield's most tightly bound families, leaving friendships shattered and loyalties tested beyond repair. It started, as these things often do, with a single misplaced trust. Megan had always been seen as reliable, even unremarkable by some, a woman who blended into the rhythm of the street without ever truly disrupting it. But beneath her calm exterior lay a tangled web of decisions she had desperately tried to keep buried. When the truth finally surfaced, about hidden financial dealings, a secret relationship, and a betrayal that cut across family lines, it didn't just ruin her reputation. It detonated a fault line between the Connors and the Langdons, two families who had once shared Sunday dinners and borrowed sugar without hesitation. The first public sign of the rift came at the cafe. Eva Connor, usually warm and unflappable, froze mid-conversation when Megan walked in. The chatter around the room didn't stop immediately, but it softened, like everyone instinctively knew something was about to break. Megan hesitated at the door, her eyes scanning for support she no longer had. She found none. "You've got a nerve showing your face here," Eva said quietly, but with a sharpness that silenced even the espresso machine's hiss. Megan tried to speak, but the words tangled in her throat. "Eva, I never meant." "You never meant what?" "To lie. To steal trust from people who treated you like family." Eva's voice cracked, not from weakness, but from restraint finally giving way. Within hours, the cafe confrontation had spread across the street like wildfire. In Weatherfield, news didn't travel, it erupted. By the time night fell, the Rovers' return was divided into invisible camps, those defending Megan, those condemning her, and those too shocked to decide which side even made sense. But the true damage was unfolding behind closed doors. At the Connor household, silence had replaced conversation. Tony Connor sat rigid at the kitchen table, staring at a folder of documents that had once seemed harmless: loan agreements, signed guarantees, handwritten notes of reassurance from Megan herself. Each page now felt like evidence in a case he didn't want to prosecute but couldn't ignore. "She used us," Carla Connor finally said, breaking the silence. Her voice wasn't loud, but it carried the weight of someone who had already made peace with anger. Tony shook his head slowly. "Or she was drowning and dragged us down with her." "That's not an excuse," Carla snapped. "No," Tony replied. "But it might be the truth." Across the street, the Langdons were unraveling in a different way. Where the Connors burned with confrontation, the Langdons froze in disbelief. Megan's sister, Rachel Langdon, refused to open the door to anyone, including her own mother. She sat in her bedroom replaying old memories, searching for signs she had missed. Every laugh, every shared secret, every "don't worry, I've got this" from Megan now felt like a coded confession she had been too blind to read. "I should have seen it," Rachel whispered to herself. She was always carrying something. I just didn't ask what. Their mother, Diane, wasn't as forgiving. "Family doesn't do this," she said firmly, as if the statement itself could rewrite reality. "Whatever she's become, she's not the daughter I raised." But even as she spoke, doubt flickered behind her eyes. The turning point came 3 days later, when Megan finally decided to speak publicly. It wasn't planned as a dramatic gesture, but there was nothing subtle about the way she stood in the middle of Victoria Street, facing the people she had once called friends. "I didn't come here to justify myself," she began, voice steady but worn. "I came because pretending I can disappear isn't fair to anyone anymore." A small crowd had gathered, curious residents, wary friends, and those who simply couldn't resist the pull of unfolding drama. "I made choices I can't undo," Megan continued. "I thought I was protecting people. I thought I could fix things before they collapsed. But I made it worse. I broke trust, and I accept that." From the back of the crowd, Eva crossed her arms. "And the money?" Megan hesitated. That was the question everyone wanted answered. "I didn't take it for myself," she said finally. "But I was responsible for how it was moved, and I didn't stop it when I should have. That's on me." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Not forgiveness, but clarity. For the first time, the scandal wasn't a rumor or a rumor-shaped anger. It was a confession. Still, confession didn't mean reconciliation. Over the following days, the rift between the Connors and the Langdons deepened into something structural. Children were told not to visit certain houses. Business arrangements quietly dissolved. Even casual greetings on the street became cautious nods, as if eye contact might trigger another collapse. Yet beneath the tension, something unexpected began to form: reflection. Tony found himself replaying every interaction with Megan, searching for the moment things might have gone differently. Carla, despite her fury, admitted privately that she had once trusted Megan more than most. Rachel Langdon began writing unsent letters to her sister, trying to reconcile the person she knew with the one the street now saw. And Megan, isolated in a rented flat above the kebab shop, watched it all unfold from a distance she had created herself. One evening, there was a knock at her door. She opened it cautiously, expecting anger. Instead, she found Rachel. Neither spoke at first. Then Rachel said, "I don't know if I'm here to forgive you. I don't even know if I can. But I needed to see you. The real you. Not the version everyone is talking about." Megan nodded slowly. "That might be the only version I've got left." Rachel glanced down the corridor, then back at her sister. "You've broken things beyond just money or trust. You've broken how people see us as a family." "I know," Megan whispered. A long silence followed, heavy, uncertain, but not entirely closed. "Fix it," Rachel said finally, her voice quieter now. "If there's anything left to fix, try." As she walked away, Megan stood in the doorway, realizing that the scandal hadn't just created a rift between two families. It had exposed something deeper about Weatherfield itself, that beneath its familiar streets and routine gossip, every connection was fragile, and every secret had the potential to redraw its map. And somewhere in that fracture, between anger and regret, the possibility of rebuilding still lingered, uncertain, uncomfortable, but not entirely gone. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Coronation Street Scoop News Update.